Pa zdravo Jespere, kako si?
Super, odlično.
Welcome to Serbia.
Hvala puno, thank you very much.
Okay, so we can speak 3 languages together.
Yeah, we definitely can, since your Swedish is perfect.
Oh, thank you. Your Serbian is on the way, so it's very good.
Yeah, that's generous of you.
I can also understand Spanish, but my grammar really sucks. So
But everything in due time.
yeah, definitely. So you are married to a Serbian girl?
Yeah.
Okay, what were your first impressions when you came to Serbia? What would you like to share?
Now, it was quite an overwhelming experience, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really different from Sweden. And I thought that, where am I? What is this? I couldn't put my finger on it, where I was, really. It wasn't Spain. It wasn't the UK. It wasn't Germany. It was a country that was on its way.
Mm-hmm.
I had almost like the same feeling as when I came to Spain the first time in 1996.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that this is on its way. This is a transitional country.
Okay.
And it's both it's on its way to become modern, and it's still this fantastic mix
Mm-hmm.
between old and modern.
Mm-hmm. And what surprised you the most during the, let's say, the first visit? One or two things.
First, to begin with, actually, and I feel a little bit bad about that, but it depends on what perspectives you have and where you come from. But I can tell you that the journey by bus from Belgrade through the old road, through all the villages to Kragujevac, that was an adventure. Very, very. The bus just stopped everywhere to let people on and off, and it was a little bit chaotic, and you had to leave your seat to somebody, and then you got another seat, and yeah, it was sort of organized chaos, sort of.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Were you alone or were you with
No,
Mirjana?
then I was with Mirjana then, and.
But still, it was. I mean, you were with her on the bus, right?
Yeah.
But still, yeah.
And she just said that, just accept it as it is. It is like this, and you'll get used to it. And it was actually like some kind of journey into the past somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what I expected.
Okay.
But it was at the same time, this is not the description of a bad experience. This is a description of an experience that I think that a lot of people need. Because this is geographically in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the gateway between the East and the West.
Okay.
And it's that feeling that this is a gateway.
Mm-hmm.
Also between the new and the old, between traditions and modernity. It's a very special place, Serbia, for me.
In which respect do you see Serbia as traditional? Where do you see that?
No, actually, you see it less in Belgrade, but actually everywhere else, you live by certain unwritten laws, sort of, and traditions, and it's important to do certain things. Yesterday, for example, I got to know about a new tradition that I had never heard of. But on the 19th of January, you have some kind of special church water that you have stored for 1 year.
Yeah.
And this church water doesn't turn bad.
Mm-hmm.
And they serve it in some kind of container, and then you keep
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of that water for next year
Mm-hmm.
in a bottle. And
With
it's just the way it is.
with herbs.
Yeah,
So I think that the herbs make it,
yeah.
you know.
Actually, I did a lot of research on that yesterday before
Okay.
going to sleep.
Right.
And I couldn't find a herb that was preserving the freshness of water. But there are like things, chemical things that you can put into water.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, in every sort of bottled water, there is some kind of extra ingredient.
Yeah, right, okay. And in which ways do you see Serbia as modern?
Because you are really interested in digital solutions,
Mm-hmm.
and you are really interested in what the future has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
You are not neglecting the future in any way.
Mm-hmm.
You are embracing the future, but it goes slow.
Mm-hmm.
So the path runs a little bit slowly,
Mm-hmm.
but it's going forward, and you really appreciate when you don't have to go to 10 different offices to
Mm-hmm.
get something done,
Mm-hmm.
that you can do it through an app
Yeah.
on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And you are really, you like that. So you are not old-fashioned. I don't know anyone
Mm-hmm.
who doesn't want that.
Is it strange for you to have cash on you? Because in
No.
Sweden you don't.
No, never. I don't even know how we have 5 years ago we got new money,
Mm-hmm.
new bills and new coins, and I don't know if you ask what is on the 20 crown bill, for example. I don't know what it is.
Wow.
Yeah, so we are really digital.
Mm-hmm.
Not the most digital country in the world, but it is digital, and I always pay with card, whatever the sum, in whatever occasion.
Mm-hmm.
And we have an app called Swish also.
Yeah.
You know about that.
Of course,
It's not new for you,
No.
but so you can send money to whoever
Mm-hmm.
and whatever sum, and it's just exactly what you send is what you get, and so we never use cash, and that's it.
So how did you get used to the cash in Serbia?
Because I was used to the cash before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not that young actually.
Okay.
So I have lived in a society where you use actually actual cash.
Okay.
And also I have lived in Spain. Now it's about 20 years ago, and there you use cash always. And of course, when you travel, it's always useful to carry some amount of cash. But in Sweden, I never use it.
Okay. Right, and your wife is Serbian, and your daughter is
Swerbian.
Serbian. Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about, you know, which languages you speak at home? How does it all look like, and what it looks like, and so on? And
You know,
I mean, you said you could speak English and Spanish. You're actually a teacher of English and Spanish.
yeah,
And music.
yeah,
And your wife is a teacher of Spanish.
Yeah.
So it's like a big mix in the house.
it is. We are really, let's say that we are internationalists.
Okay.
We love the international thing, the international feeling. You don't have to feel strange somewhere. You are just the person that you are,
Okay.
and that's it. And we, of course, it's also good with traditions. And if you're a Swerbian, Swedish Serbian, as Victoria, our daughter is, then since you celebrate the same holidays almost, but you have a different calendar.
Yeah.
So she gets double of everything. Actually, Christmas we celebrate 3 times. On the 24th, which would be like you celebrate in Sweden, and then the New Year, which is like our Christmas, but in Serbia you celebrate it like New Year. Then comes Deda Mraz, and then on the 7th of January is your traditional Christmas. So we think that's super cool, actually.
Yeah,
and
I think she thinks also it's super cool.
Yeah, I hope that she will enjoy her cultural richness in the future.
I'm sure she will.
Of course, there will always be that period of transition when they don't want to be different or something like that, but I think that she will appreciate it.
You know what was so funny? One of my pupils told me that her daughter said, "But mom, don't comb my hair in the morning. I want to look like my friends." Because they don't like pay so much attention in Sweden to what the kids look like in the mornings. They can go without being combed or whatever.
And with wet hair outside.
God forbid.
Yeah.
So she was like, "I want to be like my friends, and I never thought of this difference before." So yeah.
No, but it's a nice thing, and that this thing with multi ethnicity, multiculturalism, and internationalism is something that we cherish a lot, and we want Victoria to know her both cultures. Either we call it her first or second culture or whatever, but we live in Sweden. And Mirjana, she always speaks Serbian to Victoria. I always speak Swedish to Victoria. Together, all three, we speak Swedish. And when Mirjana and we are alone, then we almost always speak Spanish.
Why is that? That's really interesting.
We are both Spanish teachers, and we got to know each other in Sweden in Spanish.
Wow, that's really something.
It's like with you and I. I think that our common language is actually Swedish.
No, that's really awesome. Yeah. Yes.
And so now when we turn off the camera, we will speak Swedish again.
Immediately, yeah. So it's a bit weird to speak English too, although we are both very fluent, but it is like we do speak Swedish or Serbian.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to switch language. I know every wink of Mirjana's eye, what it means in Spanish. Every tone of her voice, our common jokes and everything, they exist in Spanish. And now they are starting to exist also in Swedish. But still, if we want to really speak to each other, to communicate on a deeper level, emotionally, and then we automatically turn into Spanish.
Oh, which is really good. It suits everyone and so on. Has ever Victoria noticed or heard you two speak Spanish to each other?
Actually, every time that we speak Spanish and she's in the room, so she can play and we can speak Spanish.
Sure.
But immediately when she comes to us, we speak Swedish. But she's really relaxed when we speak Spanish. It is as if I think that she will pick up a lot.
I'm sure. And also she understands, maybe she has an understanding that it's the parents' language somehow.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Like now they are talking. Something like that. I don't know, but I at least have the feeling that she's calm when we speak Spanish.
Have you ever noticed some kind of interesting mistakes, like switching from language to language, or in her? I mean, if you remember, it doesn't matter.
She can definitely mix sometimes, but she can also do fantastic things like translating things that I say, and then she translates that to her grandma.
Oh
for
my
example.
God, already?
We were going somewhere, me and Mirjana, and she was going to be at the house with Baba.
Okay.
But then I realized that I had my slippers on, that I had forgotten my shoes.
Mhm.
So then I, like a little bit irritated, went back into the house and said in Swedish that I forgot my shoes. I said that to Victoria, and she immediately said something like that he forgot his patike.
Okay.
Yeah, to Baba, and she was like, oh, then I understand it. So that was really weird.
But it's really interesting that she understands who is who and where is where. Like, who understands which language, and like it comes naturally. She doesn't ask.
Yeah. She
questions.
always says when if she is going out or something with Mirjana and Baba is there also, then she says, ciao Baba, hey do Papa.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So it's crazy
Yeah.
to see that these connections are totally natural for her.
Mm-hmm.
No languages are, I think that they are one of the most fantastic things that our brain can process.
Definitely.
Yeah. Like it contains so much, and studies about bilingual people are also showing that it's a great advantage if you use it the right way. Of course, you have to be really strict. You can't mix. So I can't go in and speak Serbian to Victoria, for example.
Mm.
And
You need to be consistent.
yeah, you need to be really consistent.
Yeah, okay, and yeah, I totally agree with this is what the science is. I also sent you an article in which they say that actually the moment you're using one language doesn't mean that all the others are dead or shut down, but they're like as a computer working at the same time in the background.
Yeah.
So sometimes they just like come in and out of nowhere. So and sometimes like I have, even though I speak English like a lot, but sometimes I have problems remembering words. For example, the word abbreviations doesn't mean anything to me. It's a Latin word.
Yeah.
But then very often when I want to take a look at something on the internet, my mind is, because I want to do it in English, but my mind goes to förkortningar. Therefore to förkorta någonting. So you're cutting it, you're shortening it. And then I have to go to the Swedish English dictionary to find out the word, and then go to the internet. So sometimes it's like that, and it happened many times.
I understand that perfectly, and actually I have read that means that you really, really know a language. Because then you are not thinking about any sort of translation or something. It comes naturally, and then it can be blocked, and you can know it in another language, and like, why don't I know it in this language? And you have to do a very roundabout thing, like looking up the word, as you said. And for me, for example, I still actually I translate in my head all the time.
You mean like
when I speak Serbian? Yeah, I have to do that. I don't know actually if I ever will come to the point where I only think in Serbian. But when I speak Spanish, I think in Spanish. It's I was going to say supernatural, but it's not. But it's very natural. Yeah, supernatural. So it's very natural for me. It comes very natural. And then English, the same. But that is something that, at least in Sweden, you live with English from the first moment. There are so many things that are in English. But that doesn't mean that like the society is very Americanized. It only means that English is a very integrated part of our culture, actually.
Yeah. And what was the reaction of what has been the reaction of other people in Serbia realizing that you're a foreigner. Do you think, because in Sweden I have the experience that people are very, very tolerant, and you know, they applaud to every effort you make of you know, speaking Swedish, and then they speak slowly, or it's not a problem for them to repeat or to show or to say in a simpler way. So I mean, forget me as a teacher, I do it naturally. What about the general people around you, I mean, population, whatever?
What you described about Sweden, in Serbia it's a little bit, it's not like that actually. But I think that it has to do with that this is a country also that is on its way to become more international. So I think still that people are not used to foreigners trying to speak their language. They don't mean to be rude or to disrespect your effort or anything. They are just like, it's this foreigner. And he was like saying something in Serbian, and it's confusing or something. But at the same time, I notice more and more that young people, they know English, and they want to try to speak English. They are not afraid of trying or trying to understand you. But sometimes, like for example, I was at the pharmacy this morning. And the clerk there couldn't speak English, and then we spoke Serbian. And it was no problem. I said that polako I lako. So calm, slow, and easy. And everything worked out well. And she was really, really polite. I think they are, in general, you are different, of course, you're so international, but in general, people are a little bit surprised when you start saying something in Serbian. And can also, they don't, since this is more homogenic country, there are a lot of people, they only speak Serbian. So then it's also like they don't have this understanding of how it is to learn another language. And that is also excused, of course. I can understand that. But to somebody who doesn't know that, it could be a bit overwhelming, like that nobody ever would say that, oh, your Serbian is really good. Or something like that.
Well, it is.
Yeah,
I've told you many times.
Yeah, you have, definitely. And I hear it more and more now. And actually, I think that now I deserve it more. Since it actually is, I can, on a surface level, I can communicate quite okay. No philosophy, only like normal stuff.
Yeah, and can you tell me some kind of, let's say, misunderstanding due to your lack of Serbian? Like žalim se and šalim se?
Yeah, of course. Because for me, I think that it's Cyrillic alphabet or Kyrillic alphabet. I don't know how you say that in English.
That's Cyrillic.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a fascinating alphabet. I'm going to learn it well, actually, because I'm fascinated in sounds, and that they actually have a symbol for every sound. So they have a symbol for every sound. And yeah.
When you say they, you mean us?
Yeah, of course.
Am I included?
Yeah, you are definitely included. I was more thinking about those people in the past who like etymologically how this language and alphabet grew.
You see me as international more than Serbian, that was my point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, what was like, do you have any other jokes like žalim and šalim se?
No, veska and sveska.
Can you try to explain
that? Yeah, sveska, that's like something that you write on a notebook, yeah, or something that you keep your notes in. And veska, that is a bag in Swedish.
So?
It sounds the same almost, but it's not.
So what happened The first time you came.
Yeah. So you asked me if I had brought my sveska, and then I said that yeah, and showed you my veska, my bag.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. And that thing, it could be misunderstood that with shalins and jalin, that for me is really hard actually, since we don't have those differences in sound in that sense in Swedish. And with I can hear when we do the alphabet, I can hear the differences between j and ch. But in a word, I don't have a clue. Then it's the same. In a word, I don't know if with Chetvertak or Georgievich, which is which. I know because I remember it, but I don't hear a difference between the sounds. And I don't have a clue which one I did now, for example.
You did a little bit of a mix, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, well, some Serbs don't also make a difference, but there are a few of them. So yeah, it's not, and there is no rule why there should be ch, so it just what is like that, so that you cannot like really follow a rule and say why. I mean, with the last names definitely it's ch.
Yeah.
But
that was
otherwise,
actually, that was a little bad example from my part because it's always like that.
It doesn't matter. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Okay, so what would you say, you know, on a friendly and relationship level, or with neighbors and things, how is Serbia different from Sweden and vice versa?
I say that you have a more insistent generosity. And I mean it in that sense that I actually agree with, there was this investigation of what people were the most friendly and generous in Europe, and Serbia came out on top of that.
Oh wow, you know that.
And if I find the investigation, I will show you.
Thanks.
And yeah, it's interesting. I think that when you come to if you go to your neighbor in Sweden, for example, you will be offered coffee or Coca-Cola or whatever, you know, and you will have some cookies and you will be there. But here, the generosity is more insistent, like take more. We also have this. Jesper, do you want Coca-Cola? Yes, I would like Coca-Cola. We also have juice. We also have coffee, and you know, it's like, yeah, it's a Coca-Cola is fine, thank you. Are you sure? Because with the coffee is on, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sure I want a Coca-Cola. Okay, and they really want you to feel at home and to feel invited and that you're special, and to only go to your neighbor to ask for something here, that is almost impossible. You have to have at least a coffee. Yeah.
Well, from the other side of the coin, I went to Sweden to see one acquaintance, and we arranged to meet, and I came, and then she talked a little bit about herself standing without inviting me to sit down, and I was like, I didn't take it against her because I knew this was the Swedish way, but I think she was like insecure about, you know, later she remembered to tell me, let's have a seat or something, because, you know, she was checking me out somehow, you know, to put me into her personal space, you know, which takes time for some people. Some people are immediately like that, and I respected that. And then there came another situation. She said, would you like some strawberries and cream? And I said, yeah, of course. It was, I think, July. And so she brought some in different pots, and she brought some really nice glasses for these. And then she said, you know, you can make it yourself, because I don't know which amount of which you want, which ratio. In Serbia, we would really like try to think what you would like, and, you know, do it yourself, because we don't want to bother you. But in Sweden, her point was, I want you to feel free to do as you please. You know, and then again, I didn't take it against her, because I knew that was her thought. And then also during our, like after 10 or 15 minutes, she said, how long are you planning to stay here? And it was a really polite question. In Serbia, maybe some people would be offended, but I wasn't. And I said, I was thinking 45 minutes, an hour, is that okay with you? And she said, yes, because I planned for my son to come with his friends, and I want to heat up the lunch for them, And they lived in this house like 3 days a week, not all the time, so she doesn't see him that often. So it was really easy to agree. But just thinking with my Serbian mind, I would be definitely offended. I'm your guest. Why are you asking me about the time? You invited me. But actually, to me, it was everything was normal, and I was, just going through that in my head, thinking, wow, this is really, really, really different.
There was no undertone in that.
Definitely, definitely.
Just a question about circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden there came one lady from, I think, Lithuania, and she behaved like, I think a very extrovert Serbian person would do. So she came, she sat where she wanted, she, I don't know, like touched things that she was not supposed to, or without asking or something. And it was really funny to me, because in Serbia, we would openly show what we felt. You could feel it, but you could not see it on her face, on the Swedish lady's face. And when the lady left, there was no comments. In Serbia, surely there would be gossip. So that was also like, these were like very, very big differences. And I was like, oh my God, it's really...
It is. Those differences are there all the time, actually. And one of the first, it wasn't a fight, actually, it wasn't a discussion either. It was just a miscommunication between me and Mirjana in the beginning. Because then I just went into the kitchen and took something to eat. And sat down. It wasn't like a dinner or something, that would have been strange, but I think chips or something, and sat down and ate. And she was like, are you not going to offer me from those chips? And I was like, yeah, but it's just to ask if you want, I'll just go and get some more, and that's no problem. I will never ask for you to offer something to me. I will never do that. But now she does it. And she does it exactly as I do. If I want something, I can go into the kitchen. I'm like, and she comes back. It could be cheese doodles or like smoky or whatever. And I'm like, can I have some also? And it's no problem. But at first for her, that was really strange, that you go and get something in the kitchen and you don't offer me.
Like for us, it's like automatic.
Like you don't. If you go and go and make coffee, you ask, do you want coffee also, or do you want tea also? And she was like, I want you to do that. And I'm like, I will really try to do that. But then she adapted to the Swedish way a bit more, and I'm like, you are not asking if I want. And she was like, oh, shut up.
I was in Seattle for 3 weeks with my relatives, and my aunt at the beginning, she said, if you want something, ask for it. And then I spent the whole week, and I was expecting her to offer to drive me to the city center. And when I saw that it wouldn't happen, I asked. Because for me as a host, I would like say, okay, I have a plan, let's go here, here, and here every day, something like that. But she was like, what do you like? I don't know. So she really took me. It was a really great afternoon, but I had to ask. And I think these misunderstandings happen in between, So sometimes, I try to offer, but not to be very pushy, and I try to ask without thinking, why should I ask? So I think that's the best way.
That makes you special. Here in Serbia, I actually always ask if people want. And do you also want a glass of water? Or whatever, I always ask. Because if that's the way they do it here, then I think that I should try to do it like that also. I can't expect people to get to know me if I am not accepting towards how they do it, you know. And for some people it's easy to adapt, and for other people it's not easy to adapt. And it's the same thing as we talked about before with if they are used to foreigners speaking their language or something, if they even know another language, how it is to learn another language, and so on. So it's very double and ambiguous, and you have to find sort of a way.
And I don't think any of the nation is right and the other one is wrong. This is just the way they've been doing it for centuries.
Yeah.
And you were explaining the other way something about character or humor, or I don't know. Like you said, like the Swedish have this part of showing the feelings and not showing the feelings, about the gray area or something. Do you remember?
Yeah.
What was the point? Can you try to say now?
Yeah, I will try.
Sure.
Would you like to check?
No. I think it's coming. Let me see it actually. Yeah, it's still on. You know, when it dies, it's dead.
Yeah.
If there is a red.
And by this description, I don't want to say that Swedish people are without emotion or something like that. We just have the same emotions, but we in Sweden and Serbians, we have different temperaments, and that's it. You are more explosive, both to the happy part and to the sad part. We are more composed, in the middle. It's we are more moving inside the gray area. And then you really have to know a person to see, then we can show temperament. For me, example, Miriana says that when I become angry, Jesper, when I become angry, then I'm really, really angry. Then something special has happened. And when I'm really, really sad, then I'm like super sad. And I think that here you can be angry 1 minute and then calm, like nothing happened, and then it can turn into like sadness.
Okay, yeah.
And that you have like you have the spectrum available, the whole spectrum available all the time. We wait in this gray zone, so to say, within this gray zone, and then we show the whole spectrum when you really know us, or when something really, really special happens.
Well, there was like a long time ago, I listened to a Spanish woman living in Sweden, and she was like saying, well, you know, the Swedish would say, hur mår du? So, bra, tack. They would say, fine, thank you, like for 6 days, and the 7th day go and, I don't know, hang themselves, or something like something like that, you know. You would never know if you were not close to them what the real situation is, you know, like, so maybe it's just more of where you show the feelings, not that you don't have them, but to whom you show them.
But I will also say that I think that this
is like an extreme simplification.
Yeah, because in the same sense that formally in English you say, how do you do?
Exactly.
And then you don't have the possibility to say that, oh, I'm a little bit tired today, you know. It's more a greeting phrase.
Yeah, and you answer, how do you do? So it's like nothing in between.
No. And so it's nothing about how you really feel. And here you have your kakosi. And I don't think that you would say to everyone who says kakosi how you actually feel all the time. And it's the same in Swedish, and it's definitely the same in Spanish. There you throw this ¿qué tal? What's up? How are you? Sort of informal. You throw it around everywhere. and you don't have the real possibility to say how you really feel. That is not the point. You can actually ask back, like with how do you do? You can say back "que tal?" You know. So I think that, but the temperaments, the feelings and emotions are the same, but we have different temperaments, and that's beautiful. It's good with differences also, so that you can learn from each other. That maybe this is not the best time to show this and that, or whatever.
Okay. So you're off to Sweden in a while.
Yeah, too short while, I think. I love being here, as you know, and I can only be here 3 months at a time. That's maximum. For 1 year, you can be here 3 months.
Okay.
So
luckily, you're a teacher.
so we have been here. We will be here 2 months this time. And last year, when we were both on parental leave, then we were here 3 months, and it was really nice. And I said today at breakfast that we have been here 54 days now, and it felt as if I just if I was only thinking about how I feel. We arrived yesterday.
Okay.
But when I think about all that has happened during that time, then it's definitely 54 days. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The expression "time flies" for me in this context really fits. Yeah.
Tell me about your taste in Serbian music or Axio music, whatever you want to call it. Remember this class with Professor?
Yeah, of course. But I think that SMAC was a special group in that sense that it was definitely a group born from the same traditions as Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, and it was international to begin with. And that they sang mostly, they made recordings in English, but mostly in then Serbo-Croatian. It didn't make any difference because the rock attitude was there. So that you can say that is the XU music that is most reachable, talking to me the most, that I like immediately.
What about your music? What would you say about your music?
No, it's definitely different from Smack's, but what is always an ingredient in my music is that it has some kind of progressive touch. It's not only a catchy riff with a catchy refrain and a sensitive verse.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that my biggest inspirations would be maybe David Bowie, Lou Reed, or music that you, in my dreams, I want my music to be music that you don't discover immediately, that you discover listening to it several times, that it's not that direct.
Okay, all right. So how much, do you have a band or recording studio? Or?
So during Corona, that has been the laziest year of them all, but also I became a father, so it was natural that it was going to be like that, actually. Very slow artistically. But then so I try to rehearse a lot and do as many concerts as I can only with people that I like. And that is one of the keys that I'm working as a teacher, to be able to do that, to only do what I want to do, nothing that I have to do with music. That's only what I want to do.
And to finish the interview, thanks to music,
What?
thanks to music and playing at the concert,
Yeah.
you met your wife.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So that is a crazy story. I'm going to do it really, really short. In the band that I was playing, the saxophone player's wife's dad was Mirjana's landlord in Stockholm.
Yeah.
So she came with the saxophone player's wife to the concert. Yeah, and I just fell like I knew immediately that this is the girl that I want to be with.
Wow.
Yeah, she was so cool. She was so different.
She is.
And so exotic in a way, and smart, funny. Everything was just there.
Yeah.
I have never felt like that before. So
I'm so happy for both of you.
yeah, so that has been a fantastic thing to get to know this part of the world, to be with her, to have our daughter, our Swerbian daughter, and so that's it more or less. That sums it up.
Thank you for the interview and your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay.